quiz. Okay, so here we go. This is the quiz example. This is slightly different numbers to what you've got, but I've got the cost of equity, I've got the cost of debt, I've got the tax rate, and I've got the debt equity ratio. Okay, so my starting point is to work with the debt equity ratio. So the debt equity ratio is 0.25. So what does that mean? I'm going to bring it down into, it says ratio here and debt. So the debt is 0.25 compared to the equity. So that means that the equity is 1. So if I add those two together, the equity plus the debt is 1.25. So if a debt equity of 0.25 means it's 0.25 to 1, the equity must be 1. I add them together to get the total value. Now I can work out the weighting. How do I do that? Well, the equity is 1 over the total of 1.25. So it's about 0.8. And then my debt is 0.25 over the 1.25, which is 0.2. So of my total funding, my debt is 20% and my equity is 80%. Now I can go and bring in my costs. My cost of my debt is, sorry, my equity is 20%. Okay. The cost of my debt is 10%. Now, my equity doesn't change, but my debt does. Okay, so I'm going to do the calculation over here. What I want to do is I want to go and take RD and I want to go and multiply it by 1 minus the tax rate. Okay, and the tax rate here is 20%. So I'm going to go and take my 10% and I'm going to go and multiply it by 1 minus my tax rate. And if I think of taking 20% off of 10, what am I going to get? Okay, should be about 8. There we go. So I'm going to go and bring that in down here. You could have done the calculation down here. I normally do, but here I just wanted to show it to you. Okay, so getting close to the end now. My final step is to take my weighting times my after-tax cost. So I'm going to take my weighting and I'm going to multiply it by after-tax cost. So I'll do that again. My weighting for debt is 20% times my after-tax cost. Now I just need to go and add these two together. And I get an answer of 17.6%. Now, let's talk about what that means. It means that my equity shareholders want a 20% return. My debt shareholders want a 10% return. So on average, the return is going to be somewhere between 10% and 20%. Which one will it be closer to? Well, my debt's only 0.25 to 1, which is 20%. So 80% is going to be equity. So obviously the answer is going to be much closer to the 20. How much? Well, we worked it out over here. It's 17.6%. Okay. So I can stop sharing. I have no idea. Okay. Stop the recording.